Welcome to episode 35 of the Talking Friars podcast. I'm your host, Ben Fadden, here with Jacob Zimmermann, coming to you after the Padres come back from being down 8-0 against Max Scherzer to win this game and salvage a series split with the Washington Nationals. Jacob was there working. This was an amazing game. We'll definitely get to it. Emotions were definitely high. I put out on the Talking Friars Instagram, just go have a good night, everyone, because Jacob and I were at the game. We saw the whole game Thursday when they lost 15-5. There was like no life, and that was the exact opposite here. And obviously the big moment was with the relief pitcher called up from AAA, Daniel Camarena, coming up. He went to Cathedral Catholic in San Diego, that high school, and he hits a grand slam
Crazy.
to get it to a 2-run game, I believe, to right field. That I was speechless when I was watching that live. And I think Don Orsillo definitely said it perfect. He summed up the emotions perfectly. Jesse Agler, I wasn't listening to the radio call, but he supposedly called Daniel Camarena Daniel SLAMARENA. It was just an amazing moment. People have, recency bias, so they're going to say this might be the best moment of the season and stuff like that. I still can't put it that high.
Over the no-hitter.
But we'll get to that, ranking the top moments so far, putting this game into that. But first off, let's start with this series. Game 1 of the series, Padres end up losing this one 7-5. It was Joe Musgrove against John Lester. First of 4. This was the first game of this last homestand before the All-Star break. The story of this game, really, I mean, Musgrove, he struggled. They were down 5-0 at one point. Padres end up coming back, tying it 5-5. Tatis hits his 27th home run of the season. He'd homer in the series finale on Thursday. Props to Musgrove, though. He obviously struggled. Just, he gives up the Trey Turner homer in the first. 1, 2, 3, a 4-run second inning. A bunt single by the pitcher by Alcides Escobar, a regular RBI single to the outfield by Lester. It was just kind of a weird outing for him. Kevin Acee tweeted out that there was one ball hit over 84.2 miles an hour in this big second inning, that 4-run second inning. Like I mentioned, Lester with the RBI single. It was just, that's how wacky that inning was. But props to Musgrove. After that, he settled down those final 3 innings. He allowed 1 hit in the last 10 batters he faced. So it was a bad second inning, but he gives up 1 solo home run to Trey Turner. But overall, it was a good outing based on, if you just take that second inning out. I know you can't because it's part of the game, but at the end of the day, that was still a great outing by Musgrove.
Yeah, you nailed it head on. He went 5 innings. You started off with those bad 2 first innings, and then you kind of settle in, and that's kind of what we were hoping to see from Paddack. And we'll talk about that later, but that didn't happen. But Joe Musgrove, he does that. He'll have some slow starts sometimes, but he settles in. He ends up throwing 100 pitches over 5 innings. Not only, but 7 hits allowed, 5 earned runs. It's not terrible, but it's not that good. You expect more from Musgrove. I think I expected more, but it was good to see that he was able to calm down, kind of settle in, start to they started to rally. They started once after that second inning, they started scoring. The bats started coming alive. That'd be the only time they'd come alive in the rest of the game. But it wasn't terrible, but ended up losing the game. That's the only thing that matters.
Yeah, Josh Bell hit the big homer to give the Nats the lead in the 7th inning. Alcides Escobar has an RBI double to get the 5th run of the game. That's all the Nats would obviously need. The bullpen was pretty solid. They combined for 2 earned runs. Tim Hill and Bruce Johnson both gave up 1 run. So that was pretty much the game. Padres dropped to 50 and 37. Again, Tatis, that was, I guess, the big story if you wanted to have one for the
That bullet
Padres
home
in this
run.
game offensively. 27th homer of the year, like we mentioned. It's we could say this over and over and over again. I mean, it's not going to change really anything. Whenever the offense isn't shooting, doing well or scoring a lot of runs, Tatis is producing, but at the end of the day, that's never going to be enough, really, unless he hits 3 homers in a game like he did against the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
That's not going to be enough to win games. So, Tatis, obviously, it's great when he's playing well, but I feel like a lot of these home runs have been empty home runs because the team loses because it's a solo homer.
Oh, yeah, you could say that for the rest of the team too. And then when we have, runners on base, we strand them. I feel like that's been the story of the season. Solo home runs and runners left on base, where, if, you kind of combine those, then you can win a lot more games. We were seeing the Eric Hosmer homered in that game yesterday. That was a meaningless home run. And, it didn't really mean anything, but we couldn't do it when it mattered earlier when we were losing closer, not 15-1 or whatever it was. But yeah, that's the thing with Tatis. But it was a cool highlight. I'll say, it was an absolute rocket to left field. I don't know what the exit velo was, but it was the hardest hit
Yeah,
one of
what,
his
like
career, I think.
116, I think, 160
Yeah,
miles an hour, hardest
but
hit
it was,
of his
yeah,
career. Yeah, it was just an absolute bomb. I mean, it wasn't one of those that goes like 450, but it was one of those. If the Western Metal wasn't there, it would have definitely went way longer.
oh yeah, and I mean, you saw him hit it, and then boom, it was gone right away. You didn't have time to process where the ball was if you weren't watching it right then and there.
Yeah.
But then again, it didn't really matter because you end up losing, and that's the only thing that matters in my opinion. Getting the W.
Yep. Yeah. Padres lose this one 7-5. Going on to game 2, Eric Fedde on the mound for the Nats. Ryan Weathers on the mound for the Padres. They end up winning this game. This was Jacob's first night on the job as a food runner. This game, it was on Machado's birthday, his 29th birthday. So it was good to get a win. The big story of this game was the Will Myers
Will
game.
Myers.
5 runs batted in, a 3-run homer to opposite field, and I was sitting on field level. Did not think this ball was getting out when he hit the ball, but man, it got out.
It carried.
And it's not like it was like a wall scraper. It wasn't. It wasn't like
a bomb,
20 rows deep, but
yeah.
It wasn't going right into what used to be the T-Mobile deck.
Yeah.
So that was the 3-run homer. That big 3-run homer he hit in the 4th inning. He'd end up having a sac fly in the 5th inning, and then in the 7th he'd have another RBI double. So just a huge night from Myers. He, this was a good game, I think, for him because fans lately have been saying, let's get Joey Gallo, let's bring him in. And
recency bias.
You're not replacing Grisham, you're not replacing Pham. So obviously the one guy that they're saying that from is none other than Will Myers, who they want Gallo to replace. And Myers was kind of like, here, F you. Like, here's a moment.
Yeah.
I mean, like
I feel like he always does that though.
You really
like
want
right
Gallo?
when people start to give up on him, that he just goes off.
Yeah. I was happy for him, obviously. Will Myers, he's like Ryan Zimmerman for the Nats. Like Ryan Zimmerman's been there his entire career. Myers hasn't, but he's been there a majority of his career here.
The longest.
And he's the longest tenured Padre. He's been here since the Matt Kemp, Justin Upton, Craig Kimbrell failure. He's been here through the entire rebuild when we had Eric Ibar and Alexi Ramirez at Clint Barnes at shortstop.
Oh my God. Forgot about those names. Jesus Christ.
So it's great to see him right in the middle of the lineup. And when he does well like this, it just makes the lineup that much, more lethal. Like, you think you have Pham, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, and then Grisham. Then you have Hosmer who can come up clutch, but even if you don't count him, then you have Myers. So you don't want to pitch to Myers in the 7-hole. Then in the 8-hole, you have Caratini who's outperformed expectations. So it just
Oh
makes
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, okay, you have to pick your spots here.
Yeah.
What spots are you going to pick? Hosmer, okay, you better not pick him late in the game. We saw that in the series finale, which we'll get to, where you obviously didn't want to walk Grisham to bring up Hosmer because of how much Hosmer's, performed in the clutch. Obviously, they didn't even get to Hosmer, but that's just the point. Like if Myers performs well, that just leaves less and less spots to say, okay, I'm going to intentionally walk this guy to get to someone. You can't do that to Myers when he gets hot because he's just lethal.
Yep. Exactly. You nailed it head on. I mean, once he picks it up, this division better watch out, because if this team, if each player can perform at their best almost every night, we're gonna take this division not easily, but I think we have a very good shot of taking this division.
Yeah. So went to the game. Tammy Young wants me to shout her out. They won this game. She said that, yeah, the reason the Padres won was because she went there.
She might have
So
been right.
I'll give her a shout out. She didn't go to Thursday's game, I don't think, and they won. So we'll see
That's true.
what she says about that. But anyway, there you go. The bullpen. Credit to the bullpen. They did not allow a single run after Ryan Weathers, 71 pitches, 5 1/3 innings, 4 runs. Austin Adams, Emilio Pagan, Tim Hill, Drew Pomerantz, and then Mark Melanson gets his 26th save. No one gave up a run in that bullpen. I don't know how many times I've said this. They've just been nails this year, most times. And that's one of the big reasons why this team can survive starting pitching, not giving Jace Tingler and Larry Rothschild the innings that they were expected to give at the beginning of the season. Blake Snell is, obviously the big example. We were expecting a lot out of him, be that second ace. That hasn't happened. He has not given innings. Joe Musgrove, when he has to grind through outings, usually that has his pitch count goes up. So that means less innings. Maybe it's 5 innings, maybe it's 4 innings. Most of the time he's giving you 6, somewhere around there. But there's another guy that sometimes whenever he has to grind through stuff, he doesn't give you the innings. Chris Paddack, he gave you 2 innings, which we'll get to in the third game shortly. That's not enough. So, but the one reason why they're the one reason they're surviving this is because of the bullpen being able to step up, and guys like Chris Matt in the third game, going a bunch of innings, Nick Ramirez coming in, guys like that being able to step up. So just credit to the bullpen. Padres improved to 51-37 after this win, 3.5 games back of first in the NL West. Things are changing, every day, so that number doesn't really mean a whole lot right now. But moving on to, do you have anything else to say about this game?
Oh, just a great win before the next game where it all went downhill.
Before it was the exact opposite. Moving to the third game of the series, I'm proud of you if you watched this entire game like Jacob and I did. We were at the ballpark. It was not pretty. It
was empty after the third inning.
It was started after the 1-2 pitch to who was that? Alcides Escobar. Paddack hits him. It was Paddack against Patrick Corbin, by the way. One guy was a lot better than the other. Chris Paddack gives up 9 runs. 8 of them were earned. Doesn't make it out of the third inning. Doesn't record an out in the third inning. He got 75 pitches in 2+ innings. 75 pitches.
That's crazy.
I know the answer to this question, but do you want to run down what went wrong here? Hit by pitch, the first batter, a single to Trey Turner, the 3-run homer to the opposite field by Juan Soto. Second inning. So that was a 3-run first inning. Second inning. Let's see. Second inning. He starts it off with 2 strikeouts, but it's to the 8th batter and to the pitcher. So that's not really anything. Single, intentional walk because he got behind 3-0 in the count to
3-0.
Soto.
Yep.
2 RBI single, 2 RBI single. Just like that, you're down 7-0. Then let's go to the third. Josh Harrison, who is not known for his bat, really. Single. Victor Robles, RBI double. Paddack, he ends his outing by not being able to pick up a bunt. That
Oh, yeah.
that kind of summed up what went wrong here.
Yeah.
He just could not get anything going. Nothing went right for him really in this outing.
No, they were hitting literally
couldn't-
everything that he threw.
Couldn't locate. It seemed like I keep score of anyone that listens and watch. I keep score of every full game I watch. It seemed like I was writing something down, looking up, single, write it down, single, write it down, 3-run homer, write it down,
Yeah.
single. I mean, it was like, okay, when is this hit parade gonna stop? It pretty much stopped when Chris Matt came in. He gives up 1 earned run. He allowed 1 run to come in but that was a Paddack earned run. Nick Ramirez also came in. So credit to Chris Matt and Ramirez. 82 pitches for Chris Matt, 37 for Ramirez.
Yep,
7
saved the
innings
bullpen.
combined from both of them. It was good because the final series finale, they had everyone ready to go.
Yep.
But man, Chris Paddack, holy cow. He is just, it's a roller coaster.
It's a roller coaster.
When
Yep.
he came off the IL, he was 2019 version. I was hyping him up. Chris Paddack's my favorite Padre.
Everyone was. Yeah.
He looked great. Marty Caswell said it. You can listen to it on wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube, episode 34, before this Nat series finale. She talked with me. She was talking about how Paddack, he looked great, coming off the IL, but now coming into this All-Star break, he needs a mental break. He needs to go back to his brother, have this 4-hour FaceTime call or something again, because he just needs to get back into the mental headspace that he was at when he came off the COVID list. And so this is his time now. He has time. He has a lot of time between starts to find what's going wrong. Maybe it's for him. Maybe watching film doesn't work, or maybe it's just working out and talking to his brother, pretty much like the only thing he could do during that COVID stretch. But it's just, he needs to get something back. It's mental. Marty Caswell said this. I asked her, is it mental? Quick answer, yes. It's mental. When the physical comes out, he's locating. When he's mentally right and saying, I'm gonna beat you. I know my stuff's better than you. I'm better than you. I don't care if you're Mickey Mantle up at the plate. I'm gonna beat you. Well, then he does. He locates. Fastball is up in the zone. Wherever he needs to do it, he locates his pitches. But when he's not going right, like right now, he's overthinking things. And, I'm not a major league pitcher or anything, but whenever I've struggled, when I was younger pitching, it's the loneliest place ever, because one, you don't want to talk to anyone. You don't want the pitching coach coming out either, because it's not going to do anything. You're already, pissed off.
Yeah,
but
you're in your head.
Yeah, it's in your head, and it seems like everything's just going to go downhill. So what do you think the next steps should be for Paddack? And, you agree, I know you agree it's mental.
Yeah. He's a roller coaster, man. They were booing him on the game yesterday and Wednesday. Fans were booing him especially after that error that kind of summed up his whole afternoon. And I think he's just got to brush it off. He's got to go talk with his brother. Get back in the right headspace before he can do anything else moving forward, because he's got the physical attributes to be able to do it anytime he wants. It's all mental, and I think that's the case with anyone. I think that we've nailed it on the head with that. It's all mental. I think if he can just calm down, refocus, get back to where he needs to be, he'll be fine. And I think fans will regret booing him, because I'm a huge Chris Paddack fan. Been a huge Chris Paddack fan ever since I saw him pitch in 2019 against the Mets, against Jacob deGrom. I think it was Pete Alonso like every time. I think. I think that he still has that, and I think he can be. I've heard people talking on the radio. He can't be on this team. I think he can. I think he can be a fourth or a fifth guy in the rotation. I don't think he can be that ace that we need, but I think that
No one's
he can be.
expecting him. Yeah, no one's expecting him to be
Yeah,
an ace
exactly.
anymore. We're expecting
No,
him to go the Philadelphia start, go 7 innings, give up
in
3
3 months,
runs,
that's fine.
go 6 innings, give up 2 runs, something like that, where the bullpen's not getting taxed. You Darvish doesn't have to come up the next day and be like, "Oh, I have to give 7 innings now because the bullpen's taxed." That's just all we're expecting is him to give a quality start.
Exactly, and I think that's I heard people we heard people on the radio that were like, his last start wasn't that good. The bats weren't good. That was the problem. We had 7 innings pitched with 3 earned runs from
Yeah, I
Chris
think it
Paddack.
was what
I'll take
Zach
that any day of the
was
week.
Zach Wheeler or Zach
Yeah,
Eflin going up against.
Zach Eflin. It wasn't even Zach Wheeler. Zach Eflin's not bad by any means, but
No,
he's
but
not
he
no Zach Wheeler.
yeah.
Exactly. I mean, Paddack's had a good start, but this start just I don't know if he was listening to the radio where people were saying he wasn't good, but he just needs to refocus, come back stronger, and I think he will.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's no other way we can say it. It's mental, it's mental, it's mental. That's all
100%.
it's there's sometimes where, a reliever or someone comes up from AAA, they get smacked. Okay, well, they don't belong here. They're coming up for an injury or something. But he is obviously now this is his third year in the big leagues. There's been ups, there's been downs. More importantly, the ups, when we've seen the ups, he is unstoppable,
Oh,
virtually
yeah.
unstoppable. So hopefully he can,
People forget that he almost threw, I think it was a no-hitter in his rookie season in 2019 against the
yeah,
Marlins.
against Miami.
Like,
Yeah.
people forget that has that capability. I don't understand why. I understand why people kind of are mad at him or whatever because he's had these kind of ups and downs. But the ups, I think, outweigh the downs by so much.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way. The downs outweigh the ups right now because there's been more of them, but I see what you're saying where the ups, when he's, mentally right, there isn't a whole lot of downs. It's
Exactly.
it's
That's
80
exactly what I'm trying.
20.
Yeah,
Like it's literally 80
exactly.
20 up down. So yeah. So that's yeah. Um so Padres lose by 10 in this game. Again, it was a long night.
Oh, yeah.
51 and 38 was their record. This was Paddack's shortest outing of his MLB career, as you might imagine. Moving on now to one of the best games, one of the best wins of the year. Thursday night series finale. On paper, it was the best pitching matchup of the night, best pitching matchup of the series. Darvish, All-Star against Max Scherzer. Many people think he should have been an All-Star. And that it could not have went more wrong. People couldn't have been more wrong about the pitcher's duel thing. Darvish had 23 pitches in the first inning, allows 3 runs, including a homer to Trey Turner. I'm so glad he's out of San Diego now. Please go away. You're totally
You can go do that to LA.
Padres pitching. He homered twice. Homers in 2 of the 4 games in the series. So he's definitely was the Nats MVP of this series.
Yep.
So 3 runs there. Josh Bell RBI double off the right field wall. They were lucky that was not 5-0 at the time because it literally hit the wall. It was feet away from going over. That made it 4-0. It was 6-0 by the time the top of the third was over. Jace Tunger said after the game that Darvish had back tightness. It went down into his hip or something like that. So that's why they took him out. So it was a low pitch count, 64 pitches. Mateo pinch hit for him in the bottom of the third. So I was confused by that. I know he gave up 6 runs, so you don't want to make it worse. But at the end of the day, it's Darvish. He's your ace. You didn't know Daniel Camarena was going to hit a grand slam. You didn't know that the bullpen was going to show up pretty well. So again, the back tightness, but so that was the reason. So now we know why Darvish left less than 65 pitches in. I know he struggled again, and we'll get into that right now. But obviously, we were kind of confused why he left so early in the pitch count, relative to what Darvish usually gives. The story of Darvish here was the back tightness, obviously, but the story was
Yep.
locating his pitches, what he did not do. It started with that Trey Turner home run. The pitch, what was the pitch? The pitch was supposed to be low. It ended up being up and in over the heart of the plate. Josh Bell, it ended up going over the heart of the plate. Everything. I mean, and you could see Caratini was kind of getting frustrated, banging the dirt, just because he's seen Darvish obviously locate
That's
pitches
his guy. Yeah.
and be like the best pitcher in the league at times. And that didn't happen. And so it was one of those things. I couldn't even imagine being the catcher where, okay, you're catching this guy, you're catching the Jacob deGrom of Padres right now, and he can't locate. He just could not locate, literally. So I just couldn't imagine being a catcher there and like, okay, I'm telling you to go down here. Every other
Yeah.
start, you'd be able to do it, and you can't do it now. I don't want to keep wasting these mound visits. What are we doing here? So just a rough start for Darvish, but I obviously have confidence that he's going to bounce back. I mean,
Yeah, 100%. That's our ace. I mean, this was his worst start of the year by far. And if he wants to get it out now in a game where we win, I'm fine with that. I understand that Victor Caratini was getting upset. That's you, Darvish. That's the guy he's been catching for so many years now, and he knows that that's not you, Darvish, at all. It seems, especially this year. That I didn't understand it. Maybe it probably had something to do with that back tightness or that back stiffness. I don't.
yeah, I'd imagine it would be kind of
Yeah.
hard to like follow through if your back's tight.
Mhm. Yeah, and
Not the pitching part, like actually throwing, but
yeah,
when you're following through and the torque on the body, it's like I don't
yeah.
think that it would. That's a good
I don't.
recipe.
Yeah, I don't think it's unpainful at all. I'm pretty sure that hurts him a lot, which is probably why they pulled him. Which I didn't know it was that low of pitch count. I wasn't paying attention to that, but hopefully it's not that bad. Yeah, we're moving on. We won the game. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Darvish, he can get that out in a game where we win. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So, the NBA Finals game 2 was on tonight, so I was a little going back and forth through that. So I was just taking notes of this game. As I'm going through, as the game's going on, Fernando Tatis Jr. hits his 28th home run of the year, made it 8-1. So it was nothing really. It was just another stat padding thing. It was a good home run, but I mean, I'm sorry, you're not going to get me too excited when I've seen 27 of others of those this year, and it's 8-1 still.
Yeah.
And Max Scherzer, he's prone to the long ball, but we were not expecting what he's done next. But for the notes, when I wrote down that Tatis home run, I said one bright spot was Nando's 28th home run of the year. That was like an
Sure about that.
That was an afterthought, not a bright spot. That was like an afterthought after what happened. Daniel Camarena, he was called up today, along with who was the other guy? I'm blanking on the other guy. Nick Ramirez and Chris Matt were sent down. There was one other reliever that was called up along with Camarena. And he obviously probably was not expecting to get into this game, right? When Yu Darvish comes in, it's a 6-7 inning guy. You toss it to Pagan, Pomerantz, Melanson, Hill, someone like that. And
James Norwood. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, James Norwood. That was the, opposite of what happened. Camarena actually ends up coming in after Darvish can't locate pitches, and he pitched well, obviously. But that was not his pitching wasn't the story. The pitching was the afterthought. Daniel Camarena comes up. There's 2 outs. Who got it? It was Caratini who got out, I believe, before him. They showed after Manny was just, with his head kind of leaning against the dugout, just sitting there waiting probably for the 3rd out to happen. And then Max Scherzer grooves a pitch It wasn't down the
was
middle, actually.
it
It
was
was,
way out of the zone. Yeah,
I
it
wouldn't
was
say
down.
way out, but it was low. It was to the lower part of the
It was
zone.
pretty
But
low. Yeah.
to a lefty, that's a perfect swing. Just that's like putting it on a tee. I don't care if you're a pitcher. And Camarena obviously had hitting experience. He said 10 years ago, though, at Cathedral Catholic High School. Um, and he golfs it out of Petco Park, out of the field. A grand slam, 4 runs, makes it a 2-run game. And my goodness, there's so many
It was
thoughts.
loud.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you were there. Take me through where you were, what you heard, and yeah, just take me through the Petco Park atmosphere there.
So I just finished, running someone their order, and I'm in the kind of ramps going down into the kitchen, and all of a sudden I hear, I can hear this crowd, and I never hear that. Even if it's pretty loud, I can't hear it because I'm underneath, but I heard it, and it was loud. And I go in, and all my coworkers are like, the pitcher just hit a grand slam. And I was like, what? Stop playing with me right now, because I was like, who? And then I looked at it, and he golfed it out. And the rest is history. That was great. I mean, it was in a frenzy. It was so
That's
loud.
what Don said. Yeah.
Yeah. If I wish I was up there, actually, giving someone the order, because I would have been able to experience it even better. But it was insane. It was super loud. I loved it.
Yeah, Don's call, it mirrored Joe Musgrove's no-hitter at the end, sending Fire Faithful into a frenzy. It was amazing. My reaction, I wish they kind of had someone had it on video. I wasn't jumping up and screaming, but it was one of those where I had no idea what to do. Like, I was just
Yeah.
standing there. I was like, huh, are you kidding
What
me right now?
happened?
What the? Just
I
like,
was like,
just
holy
blank,
crap.
like, are you, this literally just happened to a guy that grew up a Padre fan.
Yep.
We've already had a great moment with Musgrove earlier this year, and it seems like every start, it's just another great moment. And I mean, I'm just reading tweets right now. It's powerful. Here we are at home, not too far from where Dad is. I mean, it was just
It's
an
crazy.
amazing story. The highlight of this, while the crowd was great, particular people in the crowd, his family. There was video of his brother, his older brother. People thought it was his dad, but his older brother. His reaction. He was filming it, I believe, and he
He dropped to his knees.
dropped to his knees. Um, if I was a brother of a major leaguer, and I saw my brother, who's a pitcher, he just gets called up to our hometown team.
First at bat.
I'm watching the game, and our team's ace just can't pitch. And all of a sudden, my brother, who's not expecting to come into the game, comes into the game. And we're like, oh, okay, well, guess I can't go get something to eat or anything. In a blowout game, because my brother's on the mound. He pitches well, yeah. And then he comes up to the plate, and you're just standing there. Oh, hopefully he doesn't make the third out on a strikeout. Oh, he hits a grand slam. Like, oh my good, like, who thinks of that? Like, that's like, it's not even a dream. People say
Oh,
you had a walk-off grand slam or something. I think a Philly did that for his first hit or something earlier in the year. And you say, oh, that was a dream of mine when I was a kid. This isn't a dream because you can't even think about doing this.
you can't
You're
even make that up. Yeah.
You're a relief pitcher. Like, you can think of closing out a World Series or something,
Yeah.
but you don't think of hitting a grand slam after coming in a blowout game in your home ballpark. Like, that doesn't happen. So that was now, just before our more reaction on that, just the end of this game, Fam's double ties it off the
I
wall.
was there for that one. I walked up and I saw that, and it was super loud too. I thought it was out, but
Yeah.
it hit the wall. Yeah.
Yeah, Trent Grisham obviously comes up with the walk-off single after Pham singled to start the inning. He was on third. Manny intentionally pretty much walks to second base for the defensive indifference. Grisham walk-off single through the first and second base hole. But it was good for Grisham. He's been struggling lately. If you've watched this team, it seems like he's turned into Hosmer. It seems like he's grounding out to first or striking out every time. But Tingler has stuck with him kind of in that 5 hole, hasn't really wavered. He's been at the top of the order when Pham or Tatis, or excuse me, when Pham's not playing or Cronenworth's not playing. But I mean, it was a good moment. Hopefully this gets Grisham going.
He did homer in the game earlier too, where it was kind of pointless.
Yeah, the blowout game. Yeah, last night. Yeah.
So maybe this is kind of a streak for him,
Yeah.
Might pick it up.
It's one of those things in terms of the lineup with Grisham. It's a conundrum because we see how good he's been, as the leadoff hitter. But Pham's not leaving that spot anytime soon. And you want Tatis in that second hole because you have Cronenworth in the 3 hole, and he's been doing so well, and he's not leaving there anytime soon. You want Tatis a guaranteed at bat in the first inning.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you're going to put Grisham there, then Manny's hitting 5th now? Like, you want Manny hitting 3 or 4. You want Manny in the top of the order, driving in Tatis and Cronenworth or Pham or something like that. You don't. So then your options dwindle to putting Grisham behind Machado, in front of Hosmer and Myers, and so he's hitting 5th. And while he can have an impact there, I think he can have more of an impact at the top of the order. But then, like I said, there's nowhere you're going to put him because then you're going to at the top of the order because then who are you taking out? So it's just hopefully he can find a home there kind of in that 5th spot just because until someone struggles, where else are you going to put him?
Yeah, I like that spot for him. Until Pham really struggles or he, if he keeps this up, I'm keeping him in lead off the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah. So Padres win this one 9-8. Again, they were down 8-0 at one point. Have a good night, everyone. That's a tweet or a Instagram story that I'll probably remember for a while. Jacob texted me and he was like, What'd you say?
Sure
You said
that?
Yeah,
you sure about that?
And I was like,
I
what
think
do you
your
mean?
mom did too, yeah.
I was like, what do you mean? It's been a great night. So obviously I didn't foresee that happening and meaning have a good night. Don't trap yourself in a room and watch a blowout. But it ended up being a great night. Now let's rank this as the best, should we say games or let's say moments, best moments.
I like that, yeah.
Well, no, let's do game because moment, well, we can do both. So first with moment, the Camarena Grand Slam, there's been a lot of moments. Where would you rank the Grand Slam this year?
Well, I mean, it's a relief pitcher. You got to take that into consideration when you think of, it's a Grand Slam. It fueled an epic comeback, right? Moments, I mean, the number one moment obviously is a no-hitter, I think, if we're counting that as a moment. I put this in I think either 2 or 3 with that, that Tatis in Houston. He hit that absolute bomb after the first baseman dropped the foul out to end the game. He hits that absolute bomb onto the train tracks in Houston. I think, I think this is either 2 or 3 between that Tatis home run and then this. But I think the no-hitter is obviously number one. I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah, for me, the no-hitter is 1. I disagree with the Houston one because the Tatis homer was to tie it, and it was on the road. Now, I can put moments on the road still. Obviously, the Musgrove no-hitter at the top. But I'd go
I just
Musgrove.
thought of one. I remember the Reds one. I think it was.
Yeah, Caratini. That's what I was going to say. So Musgrove, I'd go 1 with the no-hitter. 2, I'd go probably. Oh, man. I don't know, though.
It's tough.
Because the Caratini Grand Slam, or not Grand Slam, the walk-off homer. It was a packed crowd, and that was amazing. Comeback win. Melanson sucks it up in the 9th, and they come back. But I think, I don't know, because the Dodger-Padre rivalry, sweeping the Dodgers, I classify that as a moment. And the final game of this. I mean, I was there, so I'm probably biased to that, but that was the most excited a ballpark's ever been for a walk, waving Trevor Bauer off the mound.
Dude, that guy's a beast. Yeah, I don't like
Yeah, that guy. Man. And
him.
then
There's a lot of
when
moments
the
this
final
year.
out with the Machado double play, the ground was shaking literally.
Yeah.
I have to put that up there. I don't want to put that two. I'll put here.
I
Since
think
it
this
was
has
a
got to be
since it
top 3.
since it was against the Dodgers, here's another one. The Tatis 5 homers in the weekend at Dodger Stadium. I'm gonna put that too. I get you can say the environment. I mean, I'd love to have 2A, 2B with the Caratini, but I'll put Tatis 5 home runs in in the series. Yeah, 3 games. At number 2 because it was against the Dodgers, because it was to win the series. That really set the tone, saying the Padres are here. Because they lost the one at Petco Park earlier in the year. I'll put that 2. I'll put Caratini walk off because the comeback, packed crowd, like full house. This Camarena
Yeah.
Grand Slam wasn't full house. It was electric still, obviously, like you said, but
No, yeah.
it wasn't to win the game, literally. I'll put
If it was to
Camarena
win the
right.
game, I'm putting that too.
I'll put Camarena right behind that, at 4,
Okay.
and then probably 5. I mean the Astros game, yeah, but the Tatis
I'm
3,
just blanking on
the
moments right
Tatis
now.
3 homer game, I want to put up there.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was against Diamondbacks.
Yeah,
pretty
I get it's against the Diamondbacks. We're not talking games. We're just talking moments.
Yeah, that's true.
So my top 5, it would probably be Musgrove 1, the no hitter.
Yep.
2, Tatis homer weekend in Dodger Stadium 2. Caratini walk off 3, Camarena grand slam 4, and then 5 is the Tatis 3 homer game. 6 would probably be Houston.
I think I just have the Houston one because I vividly remember that moment. I was at my friend's house and everyone except for one of my friends walked away, and I was like, "Yo,
Yeah.
they hit a 3-run home run."
Yeah.
But I think it's just the moment for me.
All
But
right, now-
I can agree with your list to it. Yeah.
Now games, I'd probably put. I mean, the Musgrove no hitter
This is
game. It was a clean game all around. It's not like it
Yeah.
was some 1-0 thing where the offense didn't show up. I mean, I'm hesitant to not put that one just
I
because
think
it
you
was
have to.
literally the pitching. He literally threw a no hitter. The offense scored plenty of runs. When we're talking about crisp games where they never had a deficit, just clean game, I still have to put that one.
Yep.
And then
I
I'm
think
gonna
this
put
is easily number 2 though.
yes,
This
yes.
game. Yeah.
I'm putting this 2, because they were down 8-0.
Mhm.
Best comeback. Obviously, it was probably the best comeback in history, team
I
history.
think they said it was tied for most the biggest comeback in Padres history.
Right, but did a pitcher at a grand slam? I don't think so.
No, heck no.
Yeah. So, man. So this 2, I'd probably put. I want to put Caratini, but that wasn't against the Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. You know what game I'm going to? Where
I did.
extra inning.
That double play.
No. That was game 1.
one?
I'm
Okay.
going to Sunday Night Baseball, where Hosmer hits the sac fly for to go ahead. They were down. Remember, they were down a lot in that game. Was it 7-0?
I
No,
think it
7-1.
was. It was
They were
pretty
down by
close.
6. I think it was 7-1. They were down by 6. So that was a big deficit.
Yeah.
So I'll put that one there before the Caratini game because it was against the Dodgers, because it was to win the series. It was on national television. Hosmer steps up again. Musgrove started that game, grinds through it. Tatis hits a home run, his 5th home run of the series. So I'll put that in front of Caratini's walk-off. What else? I mean, the Houston game comes up, right?
Yeah. I'd have to throw up that one game where Cronenworth and Tatis made that double play though.
Yeah.
I think that was a close game. That was a pretty
Yeah.
good. That was against the Dodgers too.
Yep. What else? What other games? the Mets game where Tatis hit a grand slam. Was it a grand slam? No, was it? I think so. Or a 3-run homer or a grand slam. It was one of those at Citi Field. I mean, they went 1-5 on the road trip, but still.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good list.
I think those are the major ones. The Tatis throw homer is a moment. It's not a game because it was against the Diamondbacks. No one's going to remember the final score of the game or anything. So, yeah.
I gotta ask Jesse Agler for that updated list of Padre moments that him and Tony Gwynn Jr. have been keeping track of.
Yeah. So that's moments and games. Let us know. Talking Friars on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Just let us know what your top moments would be, top games would be of the season so far. Hopefully we can change that list this season, including in October. So Padres, just quick recap here again. They split the series 2-2.
Feels like a win.
It had everything in this series. Losing 15-5, being down 8-0 and coming back and winning. Pitcher hitting a grand slam. Max Scherzer and Darvish aces sucking. It had everything in this game or in this series. And so, yeah, like you said, it felt like a series win because, I mean, to be honest, yesterday feels such a long time ago. After this
game was my whole lifetime. Jeez.
Yeah. Padres improved to 52-38. They have the Rockies coming up. Starting
sold
on
out
Friday.
Crowd tomorrow.
Huh?
Sold out crowd tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to that game. I don't know. Yeah, that's maybe what is it? Beer Fest? Maybe that attracts people.
I think it's a beach towel giveaway.
On Saturday, right? Yeah.
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 Get there for your $3 free beach towels.
Yeah. So let's see, we got Colorado coming up, All-Star break after. Carlos Correa, Jose Altuve dodged the All-Star game because they're gonna give their excuses of I buy Correa's more because his wife's pregnant, but Altuve, I'm nursing a leg injury. I want to be ready for the second half. The translation, I don't want to be yelled and harassed by fans. Yeah. DeGrom, he has injury history, so yes, I get it. Yes, he's.
Do you think this changes Darvish's position in the All-Star game now?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
The back tightness, it didn't seem like it was a big thing though. Like you couldn't see him like reaching for his back on the mound or anything. Now, will Tingler tell Roberts don't pitch him? Maybe.
Or if he doesn't go, do you think Musgrove goes in instead?
I still think that since they already have 3 All-Stars, then if Darvish doesn't go, I think that they do like Scherzer because he's a bigger name. The Mets is a different thing with DeGrom because, well, DeGrom, he was their only Met All-Star representative, so you need to replace him with a Met. Here's different, but yeah, that's interesting. Darvish, if he goes now or not. I think though he said in the Zoom presser a couple days ago or whatever that now that he's later in his career and you don't know how many more you're going to get, that he's going to relish it probably more.
Yeah. Okay.
So maybe he still goes and just says, you know what, replace me with someone else or replace me with Joe. I really don't need to pitch. We have a World Series in sights. I'm not on the Rangers anymore. I think we need to just relax here. That's definitely a scenario you could see. So yeah, that's interesting. Stay tuned for the second part of episode 35, a scheduled interview with Jay Posner of the San Diego Union Tribune. Hopefully that can happen tomorrow morning. Obviously, if you're listening and watching this, thank you very much. We are recording right after the Padres get this win, this 8-run comeback win. That feels so weird to say 8 runs. On Thursday night. So it's going to come out Friday if you're listening to it. And Friday is when I'm interviewing Jay Posner. So just be aware of the timing, or if we said today earlier, that we meant Thursday. If we say today in the interview or something, that means Friday.
Friday.
But yeah, shout out to everyone listening. Thank you again to Marty Caswell for joining in the previous episode. You can go listen and watch that. That's all I got. Anything else you got?
Nope. Let's just go. Let's go win this series against Colorado now. They gotta sweep them after sweeping us, I think.
Yeah, because I got concerned if we were, we get down 8-0. It's like, wow, this is really disappointing because this is a team you should beat. They're on paper at least. You want to win games in October. These are teams you have to beat. Teams that are probably, good enough, at least pitching wise, to be in the postseason. They end up pulling it out, obviously, and hopefully they don't sink down to the Rockies competition. They get swept in Colorado last time they faced them.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see. We don't know who the starter for Blake Snell is. Marty said that Blake Snell, he hasn't been. It's hard to get his strength back. He had the food poisoning. So that's something to keep an eye on if he starts on Friday. But then after that, it's Musgrove Saturday, Weathers Sunday.
Yep.
So again, like Paddack, like we mentioned, now he has he's probably gonna maybe he'll start the first game out of the All-Star break. He has a lot of time to get things right. But
Good.
we already talked about that. All right, so stay tuned for part 2 with Jay Posner. But until we talk next, Jacob and I, let's go Padres.